The grand assembly hall hummed with the low-frequency vibrations of 100 different species, conversing in their native tongues. Floating holographic displays flickered above the central podium, projecting the sigils of the Galactic Federation's member worlds in an ever-shifting constellation of power. Ambassador Lisa Hayes adjusted the collar of her dress uniform, the Earth insignia gleaming under the chamber's artificial sunlight. At her side, Commander Jake Ryker stood motionless, his sharp eyes scanning the assembled delegates with the precision of a targeting computer. "Remember," Lisa whispered, "diplomacy first. We're here to earn a seat, not start a war." Ryker's jaw tightened. They won't listen to words, not until they see what we can do. A gong, like chime, echoed through the dome, silencing the crowd. The Zapirian High Chancellor unfolded from its elevated platform, its iridescent chitin catching the light as its segmented limbs clicked against the polished floor. Towering over the human delegation, the insectoid's multifaceted eyes reflected Lisa's tense expression 100 times over. "Earth's petition is recognized," the Chancellor buzzed, its translator implant flattening the clicks and whistles of its native language into cold galactic standard. "Though we fail to understand why a species with only 12 system colonies believes itself worthy of the War Council." Murmurs rippled through the assembly. A group of Phorian delegates pulsed with amusement, their crystalline bodies shimmering in harmonic laughter. Lisa felt her palms grow damp, but kept her voice steady. "With respect, High Chancellor, humanity has repelled 3 Vorac incursions in the past cycle alone. Your tactics are primitive," interrupted a Phorian ambassador, its voice like shattering glass. "We've seen your so-called battle recordings. Disorganized mobs firing ballistic weapons, the crystalline being pulsed brighter. The Vorac Swarm consumes entire civilizations. What can soft, slow humans possibly contribute?" Laughter echoed through the chamber, a discordant symphony of alien amusement. Ryker's hand twitched toward the sidearm he'd been forced to leave at the security checkpoint. Lisa shot him a warning glance before squaring her shoulders. "Director Vex," she said, addressing the Phorian directly, "our primitive tactics have kept Earth free for 10,000 years. The Vorac adapt. So do we. That is why we're requesting access to the shared tactical networks." The Zapirian Chancellor's mandibles twitched in what the universal translator interpreted as derisive laughter. "Shard networks. Your neural interfaces can't even sync with basic Federation systems. How would your officers comprehend our battle projections?" Ryker finally broke his silence. "We comprehend just fine." His voice cut through the chamber like a vibroblade. "While you're busy running simulations, we're in the trenches learning how the Vorac actually fight." A hush fell over the assembly. The Chancellor's antennae stiffened. "Commander Ryker, was it? Your file says you commanded the defense of Proxima Colony. Impressive for a human. But one lucky victory doesn't qualify your species for the inner circle." Lisa felt the temperature in the room drop as Ryker took half a step forward. "Lucky. We lost 37 ships and 8,000 personnel holding that line. While your fleets were busy strategizing in safe space, my crew was buying time for 3 Federation worlds to evacuate." The Phorian Vex pulsed an angry crimson. "Emotional outbursts prove our point. War is calculated, precise. Not this human flailing." From the shadows of the observation gallery, a hooded figure leaned forward. Lisa caught a glimpse of segmented limbs before the being retreated into darkness. She filed the observation away as the Chancellor raised its forelimbs for silence. "Enough. The Council has reviewed Earth's petition. By unanimous decision, humanity's request for a War Council seat is denied." The Chancellor's compound eyes glittered. "Perhaps in another century, if your species survives that long, we might reconsider." The finality in its voice sent a chill down Lisa's spine. Around them, delegates began rising from their adaptive seating, conversations resuming as though the humans had already left. Ryker's knuckles whitened at his sides. "This is a mistake," Lisa said, pitching her voice to carry. "The Vorac aren't just another enemy, they learn. They evolve. Your static battle doctrines won't. Ambassador Hayes, the Chancellor interrupted. The Federation has waged war across the stars since before your ancestors discovered fire. We suggest you return to your quaint little colonies and leave galactic affairs to your betters. As the chamber emptied, Lisa became acutely aware of hundreds of alien eyes watching them. Some curious, most dismissive, a few openly hostile. The Phorian delegates lingered, their crystalline forms refracting the light in mocking patterns. "Come on," Ryker muttered, steering Lisa toward the exit. "We're not going to change their minds today." As they passed beneath the towering archway of the assembly hall, Lisa caught a snippet of untranslated Phorian speech, a sharp crystalline chatter that set her teeth on edge. Ryker's combat implants automatically logged the audio, his subconscious already analyzing the unfamiliar syntax. "They're hiding something," he murmured, as the massive doors sealed behind them. "Did you see that observer in the gallery? That wasn't any species I recognized." Lisa glanced back at the imposing structure, its spires piercing Sentinel Prime's artificial sky. "Doesn't matter what they're hiding. We just lost our chance to fight this war on our terms." Ryker's lips curled into something too sharp to be called a smile. Who said anything about fighting on their terms? Above them, hidden among the orbital traffic, the USN Defiance waited, its railgun batteries humming with restrained power, its crew sharpening their skills for the storm to come. The Galactic Federation had made their decision. Now humanity would make theirs. The orbital docks of Sentinel Prime hummed with activity, a sprawling network of docking arms and energy tethers stretching across the blackness of space. The USN Defiance hung motionless beyond the designated human holding zone, her sleek titanium gray hull bristling with weapons the Federation had called quaint. Commander Jake Ryker stood at the observation deck, his knuckles white against the railing as another denial flashed across the comms. "Request denied," the automated voice repeated for the third time. "Earth vessels are not cleared for docking under Council Directive Faye." Ambassador Lisa Hayes exhaled sharply beside him, her diplomatic composure cracking. "They're treating us like plague ships." Ryker's jaw tightened as he watched a Phorian crystalline cruiser glide past, its shimmering hull reflecting the distant star. Worse, plague ships they'd at least shoot on sight. Below them, the docking control hub pulsed with alien activity, Zapirian overseers directing traffic with their multi-jointed limbs, their chitinous armor glinting under the station lights. A group of Phorians floated nearby, their geometric forms shifting in what Ryker had learned was their version of laughter. One turned its faceted head toward the Defiance, light refracting through its body in mocking patterns. Lisa's tablet chimed. She scanned the message, then cursed under her breath. "The Vorac just hit Gamma Outpost. Council's mobilizing the 7th Fleet." Ryker turned sharply. "And us. Standby orders. Observation status only." She spat the words like poison. A new voice crackled over Ryker's earpiece. "Lieutenant Chen from Tactical. Commander, long-range scanners picking up Vorac signatures near the outpost. Their attack pattern matches the simulations I know." Ryker cut her off, eyes locked on the Federation ships now streaming toward the jump point. Their formations were perfect, textbook, and utterly predictable. "Get me a secure channel to the Atlantica." As Chen worked, Lisa gripped his arm. "Jake, if we go in without authorization, they'll court-martial us. From what I hear, the Federation's already decided we're not worth the oxygen we breathe." He activated the comm. "Atlantica, this is Ryker. Prep for emergency jump, full combat readiness." Captain Vargas's voice came through, grim but steady. "About damn time. We'll be the cavalry nobody asked for." The docking bay lights flickered as a priority alert flashed across every screen. Ryker watched as the Phorian ambassador, a towering prism of shifting colors, glided toward the Zapirian command platform. Their conversation was silent, but the way the ambassador's facets darkened told him everything. "Something's wrong," Ryker muttered. He tapped his earpiece. "Chen, reroute auxiliary power to scanners. I want full-spectrum surveillance on that command hub." Minutes later, the data streamed in. Ryker's blood turned to ice. Lisa, look at this. The enhanced audio feed revealed the Phorians' vibrations forming words in the Zapirians' auditory range. Human ships must not reach the battle zone. The swarm expects the 7th Fleet's approach vectors. Lisa's breath caught. They're working with the Vorac. Ryker was already moving. Chen, scramble interceptors. Vargas, change of plans. We're not going to Gamma. Set course for the nebula choke point at maximum warp. Lisa grabbed his arm again. Jake, that is suicide. The nebula's swarming with Vorac, exactly where they won't expect us. He turned to face her fully. The 7th Fleet's walking into a trap. That ambassador just sold them out. A new alert blared, this time from the Defiance's own systems. Ryker whirled to see 3 Zapirian battleships powering weapons. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. The comm crackled to life with the Zapirian Chancellor's rasping voice. Human vessel Defiance, you are ordered to shut down engines and submit to boarding. Any resistance will be met with. Ryker slammed the mute button. Vargas now. Space twisted as the Atlantica vanished into warp. The Defiance's engines roared to life, her experimental drive flaring blue-white. The Zapirian ships fired, but their plasma bursts met only empty space where Earth's flagship had been. On the bridge, Ryker gripped the command chair as the ship shuddered through the jump. Alarms wailed as the tactical display lit up with Vorac signatures, dozens of them, clustered in the nebula's gaseous folds. All hands. Battle stations, Ryker barked. Deploy countermeasures and prep railguns. Chen, I want those firing solutions yesterday. Lisa stared at the swarm of red dots. We can't take them all. Ryker's grin was all teeth. Watch us. The Defiance erupted from warp in a storm of charged particles, her forward batteries already spitting tungsten at near-light speed. A Vorac scout ship disintegrated before it could raise shields. The others swarmed like angry hornets, their organic-looking hulls pulsing with bioweapon ports. Evasive pattern Delta, Ryker ordered. The ship lurched sideways as a Vorac plasma burst grazed their shields. Return fire, full spread. Deck plates vibrated as the Defiance's main batteries unleashed hell. 2 more Vorac ships came apart, their twisted wreckage spinning into the nebula's embrace. But more kept coming, an endless tide of jagged, living warships. Lisa gripped a console as another impact rocked the ship. Jake, we need to warn the Federation. Working on it. He stabbed the comms. Atlantica hit the relay station now. Somewhere in the chaos, Vargas's crew executed their mission, a single precision strike on the nebula's sole comms relay. The explosion rippled through the gas clouds, a silent flower of fire. Ryker watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction. That is their eyes and ears gone now. He opened a fleet-wide channel, his voice cutting through the static. 7th Fleet, this is Commander Ryker of the USN Defiance. You're heading into an ambush. Repeat. Gamma Outpost is the Zapirian Chancellor's voice overrode him. Traitorous humans, ignore their lies, all vessels maintain course. Ryker's fist clenched. You stubborn bastard. He switched to a private laser comm, bypassing the jammed channels. Atlantica, execute contingency, broadcast everything. Across the battlefield, the Atlantica's prow split open, revealing a massive data transmitter. A pulse of energy flared, and suddenly every ship in the sector received a data packet, raw footage, the Phorian ambassador's betrayal, the Vorac's planned ambush coordinates. The 7th Fleet's formation wavered. Ships began peeling away from their death course. The Zapirian Chancellor's screech of rage filled the comms. Ryker allowed himself one savage smile before turning back to the battle. Now that we've got their attention, let's show them how humans fight. The USN Defiance hung in the void like a silent predator, her armored hull still bearing the fresh scars of denied docking rights. Commander Jake Ryker stood on the bridge, his knuckles white around the command rail. The tactical display showed the unfolding disaster in real time. The Federation fleet was being torn apart. Report, Ryker growled. Lieutenant Chen's fingers flew across her console. Vorac Swarm, just hit the 7th defense perimeter. Federation ships are holding formation, but a burst of static cut her off as another Federation cruiser exploded on screen. The Vorac ships moved like living shadows, their spined hulls weaving through the orderly lines of alien vessels. The Phorian crystalline frigates shattered first, their glittering forms cracking under the swarm's plasma lances. Ryker's jaw tightened. They're getting slaughtered. Ambassador Lisa Hayes stepped onto the bridge, her usually composed face tight with anger. The Council still refuses our assistance. They claim our unpredictable tactics would disrupt their formations. A bitter laugh escaped Ryker. Their formations are already scrap. Helm, plot and intercept course. The Defiance's engines roared to life, her sister ship, the USN Atlantica, falling into position beside her. The two human vessels streaked toward the battle, their warp signatures flaring like comets. On the main viewer, the Federation flagship Eternal Dawn was taking heavy fire, her Zapirian commander broadcasting frantic orders. All ships, maintain the diamond formation. Do not break ranks. Ryker tapped his comm. Captain Vasquez, you seeing this? The Atlantica's commander responded instantly. Like watching a herd of sheep try to outrun wolves, we going in. Damn right we are. Ryker switched to fleet. Wide, all hands combat stations. Prepare for adaptive engagement pattern Delta. The Vorac didn't see them coming. Human ships didn't announce their presence with grandiose energy signatures or predictable warp. In points, the Defiance and Atlantica dropped out of subspace at point. Blank range, their railguns already spinning up. Fire at will, Ryker ordered. The first volley of tungsten slugs punched through a Vorac cruiser's hull before its shields could react. The alien ship listed violently, its spined armor crumpling like paper. On the Federation command channel, the Zapirian admiral's voice crackled with disbelief. Human vessels, you are violating tactical protocol. Fall back immediately. Ryker ignored him. Helm, evasive pattern, echo, Chen, target their propulsion clusters. The Defiance banked hard, her thrusters flaring as she dodged a torrent of plasma fire. The Vorac ships, so used to the Federation's rigid tactics, hesitated. Just for a second. That was all the humans needed. The Atlantica unleashed a full spread of torpedoes, each warhead weaving through the chaos like guided knives. Vorac point, defense lasers swiveled wildly, but human munitions didn't fly in straight lines. The torpedoes curved at the last second, slamming into the swarm's flagship from below. The explosion lit up the void. Ryker didn't let up. All batteries, focus fire on the lead cruiser. Helm ramming speed. Lisa's eyes widened. Jake, you can't be serious. The Defiance's engines screamed as she accelerated. The Vorac ship loomed on the view screen, its jagged hull filling the display. At the last possible second, Ryker barked. Brace. The impact shook the entire ship. Alarms blared as the Defiance's reinforced prow carved through the Vorac cruiser's midsection. Metal screamed. Atmosphere vented in frozen plumes. And then, silence. The bridge crew stared at the wreckage drifting past. On the comms, the Zapirian admiral was silent. The Federation fleet, what remained of it, hung motionless. Then the Atlantica's captain broke the quiet. Well, that's one way to make an entrance. Ryker wiped sweat from his brow. Status. Chen's voice was steady. Vorac Swarm is in full retreat. Their remaining ships are warping out. Lisa exhaled sharply. The Council won't believe this. Ryker grinned. Oh, they'll believe it. And they'll hate every second of it. The tactical display updated, showing the battlefield, human ships intact, Vorac wreckage drifting, and the Federation fleet scattered like broken toys. A new transmission crackled through, this time from the Eternal Dawn. The Zapirian admiral's voice was hollow. Human vessels, how? Ryker leaned into the comm. You wanted to see primitive tactics. He gestured to the devastation around them. This is what happens when you stop following the rules. The channel went dead behind him. Lisa folded her arms. They'll call it luck or desperation. Let them. Ryker turned back to the stars. We've got their attention now. The Defiance's engines hummed as she turned toward the next fight. Somewhere in the darkness, the Vorac Swarm was regrouping, and humanity was just getting started. The war room of the US and Defiance hummed with activity. Tactical holograms flickered above the central table, displaying the aftermath of the battle. Lisa Hayes leaned over the projections, her fingers tracing the wreckage of Vorac ships drifting in the void. Commander Jake Ryker stood beside her, arms crossed, his sharp eyes scanning the data streams. Federation losses at Faye, reported Lieutenant Chen from the operations console. Their entire third fleet is gone. Lisa exhaled through her nose. And ours? Minimal, 3 destroyers damaged, no casualties. Ryker smirked. Not bad for a bunch of primitives. A new hologram flared to life, a Federation AI simulation of the battle. Golden lines predicted Vorac movements in neat, logical patterns. Then it replayed the actual engagement. Human ships moved erratically, breaking formation, feigning retreats only to strike from unexpected angles. The AI stuttered, its projections glitching as it tried to reconcile the chaos. Interesting, Lisa murmured. Their systems can't process our tactics. Of course not, Ryker said. He tapped a command into the table. The hologram shifted to show the Federation's pre-battle assessment. A red percentage flashed, projected human losses. Lisa's jaw tightened. They expected us to die. Ryker chuckled darkly. They don't understand how humans fight. He zoomed in on a cluster of Vorac cruisers. See this, their AI predicted we'd retreat when they flanked us. Standard Federation doctrine. But we didn't. No, we let them think they had us cornered. Then Atlantica hit them from below while Defiance punched straight through their center. He replayed the moment, human railguns tearing through Vorac shields like paper. They rely too much on predictions. We rely on adapting. Lieutenant Chen whistled. That is why their fleet got shredded. They were following a script. Lisa studied the holograms. Every human maneuver was different. No patterns, no predictability, just relentless, brutal adaptation. This is our doctrine. Ryker nodded. Adaptive war doctrine. No fixed tactics, no preset formations, just whatever works in the moment. He grinned. Drives the eyes crazy. A new alert chimed, the main screen flickered to life, showing Admiral Krell of the Federation fleet. His chitinous face was unreadable, but his voice carried disbelief. Defiance, this is Admiral Krell. We request tactical analysis of your engagement. Lisa exchanged a glance with Ryker. He shrugged. Tell him whatever you want, they won't understand it anyway. She straightened her uniform. Admiral, our tactics are fluid. We assess and adapt in real time. Krell's mandibles twitched. That is not a strategy, that is chaos. Ryker leaned into the comm. No, Admiral, chaos is what happens to your fleet when you try to fight like us. The screen cut to static as Krell terminated the connection. Lisa sighed. That could have gone better. They'll learn, Ryker said, or they'll keep dying. He turned to Chen. Pull up the Vorac comms intercepts. Let's see what they're saying about us. The lieutenant worked his console. Alien chatter filled the room. Hisses, clicks, and guttural growls. Then a translator overlay kicked in. Human ships move like predators. No pattern, no logic. Their weapons ignore our shields. How? Federation weak, humans dangerous, new priority target. Ryker's grin widened. They're scared. Lisa frowned. That might not be a good thing. Before Ryker could respond, the door hissed open. Ensign Torres rushed in, her face flushed. Commander, we've got a problem. What now? She handed him a datapad. Federation just issued a directive. All human ships are ordered to stand down and return to Sentinel Prime for tactical reassignment. Lisa's blood ran cold. They're sidelining us. Ryker crushed the pad in his fist. Like hell they are. He stormed to the comm station. Get me Atlantica on secure channel. Captain Vargas's face appeared moments later. Ryker, you seeing this? Yeah, we're not obeying. Vargas smirked. Wasn't planning on it. What is the play? Ryker pulled up a star map. Vorac are regrouping near the Typhon Nebula. Federation's sending their second fleet to engage. Lisa studied the map. That is a trap. Vorac love nebula fights. Their sensors work better in the interference. Exactly, Ryker said, which is why we're going to beat them there. He marked a course. We jump in behind the Vorac, catch them between us and the Federation. Vargas whistled. Risky. If the Federation doesn't cooperate, they will, Ryker said. Once they see we're winning their way. Lisa hesitated. This could start a political firestorm. Ryker met her gaze. They started it when they wrote us off as dead. He turned back to Vargas. Prep the black hole warheads, just in case. Vargas's eyebrows shot up. You sure those are one-shot prototypes? Riker's smile was all teeth. Time to show the galaxy what humans can really do. The channel closed. Lisa exhaled slowly. This is escalating fast. Ryker patted her shoulder. Relax, Ambassador. They wanted to see human power. He gestured to the holograms of burning Vorac ships. This is just the opening act. Alarms blared as the Defiance prepared for warp. Crew members scrambled to stations, their voices sharp with urgency. Ryker watched the star map, his mind already 3 moves ahead. The Federation thought in straight lines. The Vorac thought in patterns, humans. They thought in possibilities. And right now, the possibilities were endless. The Grand Assembly Hall buzzed with tension as the holographic displays flickered to life. Ambassador Lisa Hayes stood at the center of the chamber, her Earth insignia gleaming under the artificial lights. The Zapirian High Chancellor loomed over her, his iridescent chitin flashing with irritation. You dare return after disobeying direct orders, the Chancellor hissed, his mandibles clicking in anger. Around him, the Phorian delegation glowed with smug satisfaction, their crystalline forms refracting the light in mocking patterns. Lisa didn't flinch. She tapped her wristcom, and the battle footage from the Defiance's engagement with the Vorac Swarm filled the chamber. The images showed human ships weaving through the enemy formation, their movements chaotic, unpredictable, alive. Vorac cruisers erupted into flames as railgun fire punched through their blackened hulls. This, Lisa said, her voice cutting through the murmurs, is what you called primitive. The Phorian ambassador's glow flickered. A single engagement proves nothing. The Vorac will adapt. Commander Jake Ryker, standing at Lisa's side, smirked. They tried, didn't work out for them. He tapped another command, and the holograms shifted, showing the Defiance ramming a Vorac cruiser head, on its shields flaring white, hot before the enemy ship shattered like glass. The chamber fell silent. Then the Zapirian Chancellor slammed a clawed limb onto the podium. This is reckless. Your species ignores all established doctrine. The AI projections gave you a fake casualty rate. Lisa crossed her arms. And yet here we are. Ryker stepped forward, his eyes scanning the crowd. You want to know why your AIs failed? Because they can't predict us. We don't fight by your rules. We don't think like you. He paused, letting the words sink in. And that's why we won. A murmur rippled through the assembly. The Phorian ambassador's glow dimmed further, his crystalline surface betraying a faint tremor. Ryker's sharp eyes locked onto him. Funny thing, Ryker said, his voice dropping to a dangerous calm. During the battle, we intercepted a transmission, encrypted, high priority, took our crypto's AIs 3 seconds to crack it. The Phorian's glow stuttered. Lisa tapped her wristcom again. A voice echoed through the chamber. Smooth, synthetic, unmistakably Phorian. The human fleet must not reach the outpost. Ensure the Federation denies them access. The assembly erupted. The Phorian ambassador's form flared in panic. This is a fabrication. Ryker didn't blink. We've got the full data packet. Time stamped, source verified. You've been feeding intel to the Vorac for months. The Zapirian Chancellor whirled on the Phorian, his chitin darkening with fury. You betrayed us. Lisa didn't wait for the denial. She activated the final recording, a live feed from the Defiance's brig, a Phorian operative, its crystalline form cracked and flickering, slumped in containment. We captured one of yours during the battle. He was very talkative. The assembly descended into chaos. Delegates shouted, some calling for immediate expulsion of the Phorians, others demanding a full investigation. The Zapirian Chancellor's mandibles trembled with barely contained rage. Ryker leaned toward Lisa, keeping his voice low. Told you they'd lose their minds. Lisa allowed herself a small smile. Now they see the real enemy. The Phorian ambassador's glow pulsed erratically. This changes nothing. Humanity is still silence. The Zapirian Chancellor's voice boomed across the chamber. He turned to Lisa, his posture stiff, his pride warring with the truth staring him in the face. You exposed a traitor in our midst. Lisa nodded. And we're not done yet. Ryker crossed his arms. The Vorac are still out there, and now they know we're coming for them. The Chancellor hesitated. For the first time, his voice lacked its usual arrogance. What do you propose? Lisa stepped forward, her gaze sweeping the assembled delegates. You wanted to keep us out of your war. Fine, but if you want to survive it, you'll listen to us now. The chamber fell silent again. The Phorian ambassador's glow had faded entirely, his betrayal laid bare. The other delegates watched Lisa with a mix of awe and fear. Ryker grinned. Welcome to the real fight. The bridge of the Defiance hummed with restrained energy. Every console glowed red, every screen flashing with the signatures of hundreds of Federation warships. They formed a perfect blockade, their sleek, angular hulls gleaming under the distant star's light. The Zapirian flagship, Judgment of Hive, loomed largest of all, its iridescent carapace bristling with weapon ports. Jake Ryker stood at the center of it all, arms crossed, eyes locked on the main view screen. The Federation's demand echoed through the comms. Stand down. Human vessels, you are in violation of Galactic Defense Protocol. Lisa Hayes gripped the edge of the command console. They're not even trying to hide it anymore, she muttered. I'd rather let the Vorac burn the galaxy than admit they were wrong. Ryker didn't flinch. Open a channel. All frequencies. The comm officer hesitated. Sir, they're jamming us. Then punch through it. Ryker's voice was ice. A moment later, the static cleared. The faces of the Federation's high command filled the screen. The Zapirian Chancellor, the Phorian High Lumen, the Cerelian Prime. Their expressions ranged from disdain to outright fury. Human vessels, the Chancellor hissed. Mandibles clicking. You have been declared rogue elements by unanimous vote. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Ryker leaned forward. Or what, you'll shoot us. Go ahead. But know this, every shot you fire at us is one you're not firing at the Vorac. The Phorian's crystalline form pulsed with irritation. Your arrogance is astounding. You are one species with two ships. The Federation has endured for millennia. You will not dictate terms. Lisa stepped into view. We already have, while you were busy debating protocols. We broke the Vorac's attack pattern at Cygnus. We saved 3 of your colonies. And you know what we learned? Your tactics are predictable. A murmur rippled through the Federation commanders. The Cerelian Prime's floating orbs narrowed. You overestimate your significance. Ryker smirked. No, you underestimated ours. He turned to his weapons officer. Lieutenant, ready the Atlanticus payload. The bridge crew moved with practiced precision. On the view screen, the Atlantica, smaller, sleeker than the Defiance, drifted forward. Its ventral bay opened, revealing a cylindrical weapon unlike anything in the Federation's archives. The Zapirian Chancellor's antennae twitched. What is that? Ryker ignored him. Target the dead moon in Sector Theta. No life signs, no strategic value, just rock. The weapons officer's fingers danced across the console. Locked. Fire. The weapon launched, no flash, no roar, just a streak of darkness hurtling toward the moon. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then space itself rippled. The moon's surface collapsed inward, as if some invisible hand had crushed it like paper. Matter compressed, twisted, vanished into a pinprick of infinite black. The surrounding Federation ships lurched, their stabilizers straining against the sudden gravitational pull. Silence. Ryker let it stretch. Then, softly, you wanted to see human power. He tilted his head. That wasn't even our final weapon. The Phorians' glow flickered erratically. The Cerellians' orbs dilated. The Zapirian Chancellor's exoskeleton paled. On every Federation ship, alarms blared as their systems recalculated. The weapon's yield was off their scales. A single shot could gut a planet. Lisa folded her arms. Here are our terms. Earth gets a permanent seat on the Council, full military cooperation against the Vorac, and you never question human tactics again. The Zapirian Chancellor's voice was barely a whisper. This is extortion. Ryker's grin was all teeth. No, this is leverage. The Federation fleet began to retreat, not in formation, not with their usual precision. Ships veered, engines flaring as they scrambled to put distance between themselves and the Defiance. The judgment of Hive was the last to move, its massive bulk rotating slowly, reluctantly. As the screen went dark, Lisa exhaled. Think they got the message. Ryker watched the last Federation ship vanish into warp. Oh, they got it. He turned to his crew. Now let's go make sure the Vorac do too. The Defiance's engines roared to life, carving a path through the stars. Behind it, the void where a moon had been yawned like a warning. The rebuilt Grand Assembly Hall hummed with tension. The shattered holographic displays had been replaced. The scorch marks from the Phorian traitors, exposure scrubbed away. But the air still crackled with the weight of what had happened. Earth's banner, a blue sphere wreathed in silver, now hung beside the ancient sigils of the Federation's founding species. It was larger than the others. Lisa Hayes stepped onto the central platform, her boots clicking against the polished alloy. The chamber, once filled with mocking laughter, was dead silent. Every eye, compound, orb, and slit followed her. The Zapirian High Chancellor's iridescent chitin had dulled to a sickly grey. The Phorian delegation had been reduced to a single, shamed representative, their crystalline forms dimmed. You laughed at us, Lisa said. Her voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. The acoustics carried her words to every corner. You called us fragile, primitive. You denied us a seat at this table while your own ranks harbored traitors feeding the Vorac Swarm. A ripple went through the assembly. The Cerellian ambassadors' floating orbs darted nervously. The Vespidian contingent's mandibles clicked in agitation. On the Defiance's bridge, Jake Ryker watched the feed, his arms crossed. The Federation fleet still hovered at the edge of the system, their weapons powered down. The moon they'd used for their demonstration was now a swirling debris field, the black hole projectile's aftermath still collapsing in on itself. You saw what happens when humanity is pushed, Lisa continued. She tapped a control on her wrist. The central holo display flickered to life, showing the Defiance ramming the Vorac cruiser, the Atlantica's railguns tearing through their flank. Your AIs calculated a fail loss rate for us. Your tacticians called our methods chaotic. And yet, the footage switched to the Federation's own ships, their rigid formations crumbling under Vorac assaults. It was your fleets that broke. The Zapirian Chancellor rose, his segmented limbs trembling. This is unprecedented. You cannot simply demand. We're not demanding. Lisa smiled. It wasn't a pleasant expression. We're informing. Earth will take its seat on this council, not as petitioners, not as junior members, as equals. A murmur spread through the hall. The Vespidian ambassador hissed. You would overturn millennia of tradition. Ryker's voice crackled over Lisa's comb. Private, just for her. They're stalling. The Phorians are signaling someone. Lisa didn't react. She kept her gaze locked on the Chancellor. Tradition didn't stop the Vorac. Tradition didn't expose your spy. And tradition, she added, tilting her head toward the Phorian, won't save you when the swarm returns. The hall erupted. The Cerealians' orbs flashed crimson. Alarmed, the Vespidians' exoskeletons darkened with aggression. But before the chaos could escalate, the doors hissed open. Commander Ryker strode in, flanked by 6 armored Marines. Their rifles weren't raised. They didn't need to be. The message was clear. Apologies for the interruption, Ryker said. Though he didn't sound sorry at all, he tossed a data crystal onto the Chancellor's podium. It projected a live feed, Vorac signatures, dozens of them, massing at the edge of Federation space. Seems the swarm didn't appreciate losing their inside man. The Chancellor's mandibles went slack. Lisa crossed her arms. You have a choice. You can waste time debating our place here, while the Vorac carve through your borders. Or you can accept reality. You need our silence. Then, one by one, the ambassadors began to signal assent. The Vespidians first, their cliques grudging, the Cerealians' orbs pulsed agreement. Even the Phorian, broken as they were, dipped in submission. The Zapirian Chancellor stared at the Vorac fleet on the display. Then, with a shuddering breath, he bowed the Federation. Acknowledges Earth's position. Ryker smirked. Glad we cleared that up. Lisa stepped forward, tapping another command. The Earth insignia on the central display brightened, its light washing over the assembly. Then let's get to work. Outside, the Defiance and Atlantica powered their engines, their hulls gleaming under Sentinel Prime's sun. The Vorac Swarm would come. And this time, the galaxy would see what happened when humanity led the charge. And for the first time in galactic history, the Council feared the species they once called weak.